last incredibly late episode of JRPGs I played, I talked a little about how last month wasn't the smoothest month of JRPGs for me, but since working on that script, things have been much better, and I've been able to enjoy JRPGs I love at my own pace again. I finished 2 games last month, including one from my favorite series, and I also got back into a series I was curious about, and even managed to get back to the game I dropped in February to honor how much it's stuck in my mind ever since. So with plenty to talk about as we creep towards some potentially quieter JRPG months that will be good for playing catch-up, here are the JRPGs I played in March. Once I was feeling all good and better in March, I did the thing I'd been wanting to do most between reviewing stuff for embargoes, which was finishing Atelier Sophie 2, and I was rewarded with an ending that made me cry like a baby. Of course, I won't spoil any reasons why, but I will say that this was largely thanks to how much I came to love its characters. I completed all of the character friendship events except for one important one I plan to come back to, and what started as an excuse to play through the game at a leisurely pace ended with me actively seeking out those characters, wanting to help them finish all their final requests to help them realize their dreams and get to know them more. And this was partnered with the main story itself that is only made better the more you know about each character and their dreams, that made for a hard-hitting Atelier narrative that meant I can say I enjoyed the game in every way, from all the little parts in its story and the gameplay that made for an Atelier world that I really did love playing. As I said in the last one, I've written my review script for it and hope to record it after doing this one, as I really want to honor this game and the enjoyable time I spent with it, while naturally giving my opinion about many parts of it as well. I hope those of you who are finishing up are enjoying it even half as much as I did, as I really do think it's a great game, and if you haven't yet, I definitely encourage you to dive into the events of the characters you like in it, as it sure felt worth it to me by the end of the story. Sometime just before finishing Atelier Sophie 2, I was lucky enough to receive a code for Rune Factory 5, something I was really looking forward to playing in March, and while the bumps in my schedule meant I didn't put as much time into it as I'd hoped, I did make sure to put at least a little time into it so I could talk about it and get a hint of that Rune Factory goodness. The first thing I really noticed in it were the new 3D visuals, which aren't the best I've seen when you compare it to games on PS5, but does make things like battles look and feel more smooth, along with the nice character models that look the most high quality out of everything I've seen so far that fit this kind of game based on character relationships well. And in terms of those, I haven't found a character I really love yet, although admittedly I've only played just a little bit, but I am curious to get to know everyone to see who I'll like best and who I want to pursue the relationship path with. And it's a funny little thing to think about when it comes to playing Rune Factory, especially when remembering how lively all the characters felt in the last one. And it wouldn't be Rune Factory without farming, which is where I finished my time with it after its first tutorial, and since it was pleasant enough, I'm pretty keen to get back to my field and see how the seeds I've planted are growing, especially with how big the 3D nature of everything makes me feel excited to explore, and I really do have so much more to explore in it, so that's definitely something I'm hoping to get to this month if I manage to keep on schedule. I'm sure some of you guys are still playing it if it's anywhere near as addictive as 4 was, so feel free to let me know how your playthrough is going in the comments, and I look forward to jumping back into the fun-looking world of Rigbar myself sometime soon to get to know this wholesome little town that I hope I really end up enjoying. The Cruel King and the Great Hero was one of my main plans for March, a plan I managed to jump a little too hard into, although ultimately I had a good time with it. I finally got my review up for it recently, where I have a lot more to say about it as a game, but my actual story experience with it was really nice, and I liked what seemed to be the overarching messaging that could be taken from its events and quests, with things like use acts of kindness quests being a great way to strengthen it that does make for a world that I think is special, at least on some level. Even though I did ultimately end up playing too late into the night during my playthrough, getting sick, and having my review for it being a month later than I would have liked. As I said in the last JRPGs I played, I don't blame this game at all, as there were many lovely parts of it that made me happy to keep playing, which I was happy to talk about in my review, along with a few things I didn't love so much about it too. Feel free to check out my detailed thoughts on that if you want to know more about this storybook world, but ultimately, if you like games with a storybook premise, I think it's a colorful world worth experiencing, and I hope to see more games like it in the future, as I did really like the overall feeling of this world. Once I cleared my plate in terms of finishing Atelier Sophie 2, writing some reviews, and generally feeling better, I finally decided to faithfully get back to MONARK, which faithfully sat in the back of my mind ever since I put it down, and since then I've been chipping away at it slowly but surely, especially since its tactical battles have really been giving me a run for my money. If I'm being completely honest, I've sat between love and frustration for this experience as I've gotten into its second act with Kagura as my party member of choice. Not because of her as a party member, but more as I swear the game keeps ramping up the difficulty. I've had to learn to grind with its precipice stages and how to use my unit's assist attacks well to get by, which is good, but it has rewritten my idea of how to play this game well multiple times, and I've abandoned things like trying to get the Enlightened or Awakening stages for having my units chip away at bigger health bars together, which has turned my MONARK experience into one that is a more typical tactical JRPG, and while it still feels smooth enough, I really wish I was using more of the parts that made it unique. I actually enjoyed the challenges of its stages though, especially its boss battles when their great soundtracks come in, and I do feel super satisfied with it when I finally win against some of its enemies, and I even pre-ordered a Vanitas plushie before the month was out, so I'd say I'm still enjoying it, especially in terms of story. Even if some of my other feelings about it are mixed, I'm at least enjoying it enough to stick with it. So with that, I am looking forward to playing more of it and solving more of the bigger mysteries of its story and world as I keep playing, and I'm also interested to see where my feelings will land about it after I've seen its ending. And while most are long done with this experience, I'm glad to have kept with it, as I'm sure I would have wondered if this was a game I would have loved, so I'll continue to keep answering that question for myself as I keep playing. As a short mention, since I made an impressions video for it, and frankly since I nearly forgot I jumped into it in March, thanks to a code I was able to jump into the Switch version of CRYSTAR before its release later in the month and see how this new version felt to play. If you've followed my content for a while, you'll know this definitely wasn't my first time with the world of CRYSTAR, as I played and reviewed it a couple of years ago when it came out on PS4, but I had to at least try the Switch version to see if it was a good port, especially after my luck with certain ports this year, and I'm very happy to say that it seemed like a great and accurate port of the original, so much so that it managed to remind me of many of the reasons I loved it in the first place, from its soundtrack, its interesting premise, and all the twisted and interesting moments in between. As I said, I have an impression video for the Switch version that goes into a little more detail about this new version if you want to know more, and I've also made a playlist for my CRYSTAR content as I've talked a lot about the game as I really did love it. I hope anyone who's trying the new version is still enjoying it so far, especially as a portable experience, and I'll be keeping it on my Switch as there is temptation to fill out my Memoirs of the Dead on the go in this wonderful game that holds a special place in my heart many years after its release. April has arrived with a much quieter JRPG calendar than previous months, which I think is good as there are still a lot of releases from February and March that I really want to get through. In terms of releases I would be interested in if I wasn't still backed up, in the Nintendo Direct earlier this year, I was happy to see Chrono getting its Switch release on the 7th, which will be a good way for those like myself interested in trying it for JRPG history purposes to try it on a modern system. Also coming in April is Neptunia and Senran Kagura's crossover game Ninja Wars on Switch that I was hoping to get some time to jump into, but with both of these games I might give them a miss as I feel like I'm getting to the end of MONARK and I still haven't put nearly enough time into Rune Factory 5 yet, and since they're more anticipated releases for me compared to what's coming this month, I want to give them priority, and I'm really hoping that Rune Factory 5 will get me addicted to it like 4 did that will hopefully make me glad for my decision to do so. So with that in mind, whether you increase the quiet point in this year's gaming schedule too, or you keep on track, I hope that in any case you all keep playing things that you enjoy as we get into a new, fresh month of playing great JRPGs that will hopefully let us get through a lot of great games. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below what you played in March and what you plan to play this month. You can like and share this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel for more JRPG content like this, and ring that bell to get notifications on whenever I post so you don't miss a thing. You can check out more videos here, and you can find me on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at JRPG Jungle. Links to those will be in the description below, and until next time, thank you, bye!